Where's everybody? Is it just the two of us? Oh,
No, there's like what? There's 7 people on this. That's good.
There's a whole bunch of us here. Dorothy,
Hello.
you're on mute.
Whole bunch.
That's good.
Just had what I hope the Soprano ones agree was a really great sectional. My goal tonight is primarily to get That's Christmas to Me caught up. This is the one we spent the least amount of time on. I really want to go through this kind of moment by moment so that you understand what the issues are. I don't think it's not that it's difficult. It just has a couple little things that we really have to be precise about, especially because we don't have the benefit of figuring it out together, right? When you're in a room and somebody's not quite getting it, well, you can fix that. But obviously, I don't know what's going on in each of your little rooms, which is, by the way, that's best. But yeah, we just want to make sure that we get those details kind of in place. You take notes so you know what the issues are. Let's do just a couple of things here. Get ourselves just making some noise. This whole piece is a very, very comfortable, easy range. So I'm not, worried about a big warm up, but let's do a couple of things. Let's start here in one of my favorite keys, B major. I hope you like B major. B major is one of those keys when you're a kid you're scared of because all the sharps. And then as you get older and you realize it fits so beautifully under the hand, So anyway, there's my story about B major. Here we go. Something a little bit different. A very, very buzzy Z. And don't wait for the vowel to be on pitch. Right? Z has pitch. So be on pitch with the Z itself. It's very simple. It's just a triad. We'll go up. 1 and go.
Barbara?
Mute.
2 more. So we want to use that Z to kind of help line up these vowels so that the vowels are more similar than dissimilar. Z, Z, za, zo, zoo. Lots of buzz, but making those vowels to not be chewed, but much more lined up and similar to each other. But nice, we'll keep that one around. We'll use that a bunch over our time together. Let's drop back down here. Let's drop back down to that B major again. And just to have a little energy. And again, you're always thinking about the upper pitch. When you breathe, you prepare the space for that upper pitch. You don't start, down in the lower voice. You're thinking already about that upper pitch. 1, 2, go. Last one. Good. That puts us in the key for That's Christmas to Me. So we're going to do some real detailed work on this today. I'm going to ask you a few questions. I'm going to give you a lot of information. So let's start on That's Christmas to Me. And we're going to start by speaking the first verse. As we go through this today, you're going to have a little better idea as to what the form is. It's a long piece. It's like, 15, 16 pages. So having those little signs will help you kind of digest the piece in smaller portions. So let's do the first verse right off the bat. Please note that the verses are set up like so. We have one phrase, the fireplace is burning bright, shining all on me. We have phrase 2, I see the presents underneath the good old Christmas tree. We have phrase 3, how many fingers? 3. And I wait all night till Santa comes to wake me from my dreams. So each verse has 3 long phrases. And then there's a little tag. Oh, why? Because that's Christmas to me. So that's how the verses are organized. You'll see the refrain has a slight different arrangement. So tonight I'll be talking about these phrases in each of the verses. Lindsay, question? Oh, sorry, your hand went up and, good. So first, let's speak together. Let's speak. This is page 1. I will give you, oh, okay, sorry. One more thing. This piece is absolutely in 2 beats to the bar. Boom, 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 boom. Ba-bum, ba-bum, bum, 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 ba-bum, bum, bum. 2 beats. At the very beginning, if you're somebody who likes to look at your time signature, you'll notice it's in cut time. That's fine. They could have put it in 4/4 to be quite honest, but no matter what they write at the beginning, we're doing it in 2 beats to the bar, which is the cut time. This is too fast. It's too frantic. Bop, 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 bop. That's too difficult to line up. Okay, so it's going to be 2 beats to the bar, but a lot happens in between those beats. Here we go. Let's speak. The pick up to 10. I'll give you 4 and you're in. 1, 2, 3. The fireplace is burning bright, shining all on me. I see the presents underneath the good old Christmas tree. And I wait all night till Santa comes to wake me from my dreams. We're going to pause there. I'm just focusing on the 3 phrases, okay? Now, we're going to speak it again, but I want you to find out what is different. I'm going to give you a hint. It's at the ends of the phrases. And this is going to be the crux of this piece. So we're going to speak those 3 phrases, but I want you to watch the endings of each. And you tell me when we're done, which one of these is different. So one more time, speak it. 1, 2, go. The fireplace is burning bright, shining all on me. I see the presents underneath the good old Christmas tree. And I wait all night till Santa comes to wake me from my dreams. Can you tell me what was different about the endings of the phrases? One of them sticks out like a sore thumb. Did you notice it? I got a 3 from Julie. Anybody else in agreement? I got a head shaking from Elaine. Excellent. So here is the crux of this piece. So many of our phrases do this. Bum, ba, bum, 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 ba, bum, bum, bum. They end right on the downbeat. In fact, in this verse, that's how phrase 1 and phrase 2 end. In fact, if you look at the top of page 2, you can see the last word of the first phrase, me, and it's right on the downbeat. It's a half note right there. If you look in the middle of page 2, you see the ending of phrase 2, and it's tree, and it's right on the downbeat. But if you look at the bottom at the word dreams, you can see it, right? It's tied over. It's on the 8th note tied over to the downbeat. That's the crux of this piece. The difference between I see the presents underneath the good old Christmas tree, or and I wait all night till Santa comes to wake me from my dreams. That's the crux of this piece, because that's what we got to make sure we do precisely individually. So when we put it together, it works. Any questions about, we're going to go through this one again. Dorothy, what you got?
Well, that third phrase is different from the first two, of course, because it goes, wait all night is.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're exactly right. There are other differences. For instance, sometimes the phrase has an eighth note pickup. Sometimes it has two eighth note pickups. There are other interior differences, like, and I wait all night, like Dorothy just said, right? Those, so yeah, I mean, we got a lot of things to think about, but the one that I think a lot of those will fix themselves because you got to get the words in somehow. The one that I'm most concerned about is at the end, to making sure that we all come together. Because that's, I think, the one that's going to be the most exposed. So with all that in mind, and I apologize for all the exposition, but that's kind of what we got going on with this. With all that in mind, let's go back now and let's sing it. So the same rhythm we just sang, we just spoke, but now let's sing it. And again, keep making the distinction between when you end on a downbeat or when you end not. And I think this time, let's go ahead and add the tag. So we'll go all the way over to the top of 3. Here we go, page 1. I think we talked about it last time we worked on this, but this piece is organized a little strangely. Like technically in this first verse, you're the melody. When you break off into harmony, you're the melody, okay? The soprano ones are doing harmony to your melody. Just keep that in mind. Like if you sing along with the pentatonics, you're gonna find out that at least in this first verse, you are the melody. Here we go. This is on page 1, the fireplace. 1, 2, go. That's verse 1. And again, hopefully you're feeling how that third phrase has a different syncopation. We're going to go right on to verse 2, which is very similar. But before we do, any questions about verse 1? Rhythm, anything? I've got 2 more things to tell you about this piece generally. I'll mention one now because you see it here right away with verse 1. Remember, we talked about those connecting curved lines that I used? We're blowing through those rests, right? This piece is too choppy on the page. So if you have any questions, let me know, but that's all it is. The fireplace is burning bright, shining all on me. That phrase is not long. There's no reason to cut it apart. That's all that means. You see it a lot in this piece. Let's go to verse 2, which starts the pickup to 26. So now you start out right away in harmony. So your notes aren't exactly the same. Same idea, of course. Let's sing through this and then let's compare those first 3 phrases. Let's see how they compare in this verse. But let's sing through it. Here we go. So previously you did this. Now you're doing this. So here's the pickup to 26. 1, 2, go. So just on a first run through, can you tell me how those 3 phrases compare to the first verse? Which ones are the same? Which ones? And I'm talking about that moment at the end. Which ones were the same? Which ones were different? Anybody notice on the first time through?
Sort of the same, isn't it? I mean,
Actually, it's not. Look at the first phrase, the pickup to 26. Look how it ends. Like angels in the snow. See how snow is not on the downbeat. It's earlier. It's that anticipation. So the first phrase is different, right? Because in verse 1, the first phrase ended on the downbeat. Now, phrase 2 happens to be the same. Phrase 2, which goes over to the top of 4 on the word the syllable toe of mistletoe, it ends on the downbeat. And then phrase 3 is different than, the first time through all this, because it ends on the downbeat. Okay, and that you see there with wherever we may be. So you see the variation already. Just between those first 2 verses, we have those very important rhythmic differences.
I guess I don't need to know what you mean by you're ending on the downbeat is different from adding an extra 8th note to that. I mean, I guess
Well, just think about where the articulation of the note is. So sometimes you articulate, boom, on the downbeat. Sometimes we have to anticipate that downbeat. That's what I'm talking about. Because what I don't want us to do is kind of get this piece in our body and always end up doing this. Bum, 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 bum. Or always end up doing this. Bum, 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 bum. And for those people who are strong, like music notation readers, you'll get it all figured out. But some of us aren't, right? And part of this is going to be the way we feel it. So that's why we want to talk about this, just to make sure that nobody gets, kind of a bad habit ingrained, because that's going to stick out like a sore thumb on the final recording. We don't want to have that. So that's why we're going through this, is kind of get it all caught up.
Did that make sense?
Some different notes in this second verse. Your harmony the whole time. Julie, question?
I was just going to say, you can clap through those 3 phrases and see which ones, wherever we may be, like if the last word is on a clap, that's on it. And some of them might start before the clap. I don't.
What I
know.
meant,
exactly
what I meant was
And
that
by the way, making the beat audible, well, that's what a metronome does, right? I use that stuff all the time. You're exactly right. It's a great tool. Bum, 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 right? Tapping the sternum. I did that in my master's degree program in my choral stuff. So making the beat physical or making it audible, hugely helpful tool. Julie is exactly right. And I live with my metronome. I live with it. I sleep with it, in fact. It's very sweet.
it was a misnomer for me. Ending on doesn't mean this. I mean, that was a different term.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I get it. Yeah. So those are the first 2 verses, okay? So now we're going to go on to something new, and that is our first refrain. This happens at the top of 5. Your refrain is a little different because now you are backup singers, okay? Now we have our soloist entering. So you're not responsible for all the words now, right? They are singing all the words. We sing most of the words. But you'll have to be comfortable with the idea of half note squareness, very simple rhythm. And then all of a sudden you got to go back to doop, 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 doop. So you got to go back and forth. Okay, so it's a little tricky. So here we are. Let's do the pick up to 42. This is the top of 5. Here we go. I'll give you 2 and you're in. 1, 2. When we started this, I mentioned that the refrain has a slightly different structure than the verse. The difference is this. The difference is that whole why, because that's Christmas to me, you do twice in the refrain. You do it once in the verse. In the refrain, you do it twice. So the refrains are slightly longer than the verses. We're going to go through this refrain one more time. Before we do you have any questions? Okay. The last thing I want to point out about this piece in general occurs here in this first refrain, and it's at the bottom of page 5. If you look at the second to last measure, you are saying the word O, the vowel O. When you look at the last measure, you're saying the vowel ah. In between, you see the little IPA brackets and the what looks like a colon? That is just an indication for what we call a glottal stop. Have you guys heard that term before, glottal stop? Dorothy has, Barbara has. Okay, great. So you probably talked about it with Janie. So just a quick refresher. The glottal stop has to do with your vocal folds. And what it does is, not to get in like this big dissertation, the simple version is it creates an articulation where there's no consonant. When there's no consonant at the beginning of a vowel or between two vowels, the glottal stop is just a little articulation. And you can practice it in your own voice. So instead of saying, oh, ah, where I'm just changing my mouth shape and the vowel kind of blends, you want to have a oh, ah, oh, ah. I'm not really adding any space between them, right? I'm not going, oh, ah. That's not what I'm doing. They're connected, but they're just slightly separated. Oh, ah. And by the way, glottal stops can become very violent and like flappy inside your larynx. We don't want that, okay? We don't want that. But just kind of experiment with it. We want it to be very clear. That's why I've got this in this piece, because you have a lot of these moments and you'll see that come up. It's just a reminder to make sure we don't blend one vowel to the next. Good. Let's sing this refrain one last time, then we'll keep going. Top of 5. And 1, 2. And of course, you know, at the bottom of page 6, you guys have what is essentially the coolest note in the whole piece, right? F sharp. You know, enjoy that. We don't need to accent it from a volume standpoint, but just make sure it's very clear, F sharp, F natural. Any questions about the refrain? Cool, let's keep going. At the pickup to 62, well, you don't have a pickup. Now here we are at the top of 7. We have another verse, but this is a solo verse. So a lot of what you're doing is just background. But as you see over at the top of 8, then you have to launch back in to your words and complicated rhythm. So let's go ahead and go through this. By now, all the musical material is very similar. The harmony is all, you know, very similar all the way through the piece. It's just the little variations of text, the little variations of rhythm. Let's go back to page 7 at the top, and we'll start right at 62. Here we go. 62. 1, 2, go. And pause, because now we're bleeding into the next refrain. Okay, and that verse we just went through goes right into the refrain. Yeah, this has its own little set of trickiness, but again, it's kind of all in that same vein. And we're going to sing it one more time. Anything you want to ask or hear before we do? Okay, let's do it. 62. Top of 7, 62. 1, 2, go. as the previous one, I think the sopranos, the soprano ones have like one note that changes, but I think it's exactly the same. So we just went through verse 3 and the refrain. Any questions? Cool. No, I like it. I like it. That's good. So now we have the last new thing. The last new thing at the bottom of 11. This is where essentially it's a little instrumental break. You are doing what amounts to kind of like what a guitarist does, where they play notes in a harmony, in a chord, but you're kind of like the guitarist's fingers, right? So rather, instead of just strumming, we're playing this in a very specific rhythm. The soprano ones have the toughest rhythm. You have the second toughest rhythm. Let me play through it. Just these 8 bars at the bottom of 11 at 98. Let me play through it. Hopefully it'll come across okay. That way you can kind of hear what's going on. So here's 98. 1, 2, go. Just that much. That's all it is. It's these 8 measures. But each set of 2 measures has the same rhythm. Well, almost. There's one slight variation for you, but it goes like this. So, bum, 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 bum. You have to find out where you fit in that. So again, your rhythm is not too difficult, but it's right off the downbeat. So it's doom, 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 doom. So it's the same thing 4 times, but you've got to bounce off that downbeat. And what you do sets up the soprano ones.
Dum, dum, do, dum.
Yeah. Dum,
But
dum, dum, do, dum, 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 do, dum. So it's a little tricky. I mess it up sometimes still. I do want to point out one thing. Notice the little curved line. We want you to go to the downbeat. Go to the downbeat. So don't make it a quarter note at the end of each 2 measures. Make it a half note. So it's. And make it a half note. We want those guitar harmonies to kind of ring out. Now don't go beyond the downbeat because now we're changing the harmony. Let's go ahead and speak this so we can get that dum and do in your mouth. Remember that the do, your lips stay open. It's just an oo vowel. The dum, you want to close to the M right away. Let's try speaking these 8 bars. Here at 98. 1, 2, 3, 4. Dum, dum, do, dum, 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 do, dum, 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 do, dum, dum, oh, joy. So any question about your rhythm? Cool. All right. Go back and sing it. So the first time, it always works the same, but it has to do with the women's range. So the first time the altos are below you, but this time you're below the altos. So just don't be surprised by that. Okay, that's a low G. Obviously, too low for you. The rest of it works the same way. Let's try this. Just these 8 bars. Each time I'll play the downbeat in the alto. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll pause there. So harmonically, it's the same chords you've been singing the whole time. It's obviously just this very unusual instrumental break. Anybody have any questions about this one? Okay, so let's go back. I want to sing the same thing, but now we're going to keep going because you'll discover once we get out of this that I mean, honestly, we can go to the very end. The rest of this is just, again, with slight variation, the same stuff you've been doing. So why don't we go to the end? Here we are at the bottom of page 11, measure 98, and then we'll go all the way to the end. Here we go. So each time you're on that second quarter note, boom. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so we talked about with this piece, because a lot of it is in 4-part. In fact, the 4-part really settles in at the top of page 11, the last measure, and it's 4-part pretty much all the way to the end. We talked about the second sopranos filling in this harmony at the top of page 14 and the bottom of page 14. It's a very brief moment. The same thing happens at the top of 15. If you look, please, at the third measure, top of 15, it'd be great to have the second sopranos fill in that harmony, just kind of split amongst yourselves. So as we come out of that instrumental break, which is on page 11, we start singing text at the bottom of page 12. We have a final refrain. The final refrain is on the top of 13, the pickup to the bottom, the pickup to 114. And now you sing a refrain with text right from the beginning. So that's a little different. I want to point out one last important moment, and that is at the bottom of 13, going to the top of 14. Candles glowing in the dark. The word dark. That's one of those moments where we got to be really precise. It's not on the downbeat, it's slightly before. Candles glowing in the dark. Yeah. So make a note of that so you're not surprised by it. So that's a fairly kind of intensive, going through of this piece. Any questions?
Yeah, it would be helpful to me to hear the rhythm of the dum dum do one more time.
Again, great. No, I love it. In fact, so let's go back to the bottom of 11. And for right now, let's speak it. Part of it, to be honest, Elaine, I think it's tricky to get that dum in my mouth. So let's speak it. Here we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to clap the downbeat. Dum, da, do, dum, dum, etc. Here we go. Bottom of page 11. Everybody speaking. 1, 2, 3, 4. Dum, dum, do, dum, 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 do, dum, dum, do, dum, dum, oh. The nice thing is now, obviously, your last measure of that, this is the top of page 12, the third measure is slightly different because you don't have that 8th note, right? But the core of your rhythm is the same 4 times in a row. Boom, boom, boom. And that's the important thing, is getting that. The first sopranos have a really tricky part. If this was in the same room together, it would be so cool. Unfortunately, this is a moment that when we split it up, it kind of loses some of the fun quality, because you would bounce right off of each other. It'd be so cool. So let's do it one more time now, but now singing. So we'll add our pitch back in. And here's the bottom of 11, singing now. Again, I'll play the downbeat. I'll play the downbeat each time. 1, 2, 3, and. Does that help, Blaine?
Yes, thank you.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, I mean, this piece, it's not that it's difficult, but it is difficult to read on the page for some folks. And then, once we start to feel it, we just have to make sure that we're disciplined. We're disciplined about it, that we can't, just do everything by feel, because there's moments where it's not what you expect. Good. Any other questions? That's all the way through. Any other questions on this piece tonight? Okay, so don't tell. This is what I wanted to do. Before I'm gonna let you go in 30 seconds, I want to give you a heads up. You're going to be getting an email. I am encouraging you all to observe a rehearsal on Thursday evening. When I say observe, I'm talking 5 minutes, okay? If you're at home, you'll have a Zoom link. You're going to observe a rehearsal, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you want. And I'll tell you when to come on and all that. So none of your time will be wasted. But if you're able to do that, you're going to have a question that's going to be asked of you. And I've discovered by talking to the board that what I think is really easy to conceptualize, because I do this every week, I'm realizing that if you haven't done this before, it's not as easy to conceptualize. So I want you to take a look before we ask the question. That's why I'm doing this. So anyway, you'll get an email, you'll get a reminder. If you've got 5 minutes on Thursday night, please just sneak in on Zoom, take a look, and sneak out. You don't even have to say anything to anybody, okay? But then the board will be able to ask a question, and you'll be much more informed about it. Cool? All right, I'm gonna let you go. Don't tell your friends. Okay, in fact, I'm gonna get some water. I'll be back. I'll leave this on in case you want to chat, but I'll cut it off at 6:30 for the next group.
Does anybody want to chat? I think this song is very difficult, and we'll never be able to memorize it. So I'm going to read the lyrics whenever I do the video. That's what's going to happen.
That's my secret, Dorothy. I've been reading lyrics while doing my videos, so
I have too. And my eyes just sort of go.
just put it right under your
And
camera.
actually, I kind of act like I'm nearsighted, so I squint a little bit, so you can't really tell. So
Did everybody get their videos in today? I've done everything except Elf.
I did them all.
To record
I'm
Elf
late
like
on it.
3 different times.
It's today, right, Barbara?
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Dave
do
Barber
dreidel.
gets the exception.
I'm trying to do dreidel tonight, so we'll see how that goes.
Dreidel is hard.
That's very impressive. I'm not anywhere close to being able to do dreidel.
Well, I just got to get them all out. I'm trying to get them all done, get done with it and move on. I'm tired of this.
me too.
It's wearing on me, this video stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking in my brain that we had less recordings left than we do because I wasn't counting 3 different recordings for Holiday Trio. I was thinking of it as one song, and it's like, no, it's not one song. It's 3 different songs to record.
Yeah, that's true. But fortunately, they're so short. I think that's Christmas to me is so long and so many
Yeah, well,
words.
'Tis the Gift, despite how short and few words we had, was my absolute kryptonite. And finally, when I uploaded all the recordings and I sent an email to Zonia and just said, mute me, just show my face and mute me on that one, because I could not start on the right note either of the verses, and it just kind of went downhill from there. And
It's very difficult for a lot of.
well, what's frustrating though is that, when I'm not in front of a video camera, I sang that song just fine. I had that with that and Christmas Time Is Here. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, my difficulty is just having to do it over and over again because I screw some word up and I don't want to screw that word up. I mean, I could leave it but I want to. So, you know, it's just ridiculous. It's just ours.
I
Anyway.
was trying to watch the conducting on Thanksgiving song, which is beautiful, and I love Chapin Carpenter, and it's kind of easy, but I had a hard time without having somebody singing in my ear. It's still hard.
Yeah. Yeah,
So.
it is. Good luck, everybody. Oh, we're still there? Oh. Anyway, yeah, it's difficult. But I can't watch the conducting anyway, so I just have to listen really hard to the music, you know.
And count. Dorothy always counts.
Yeah, and count. Yeah. I'll see y'all next time.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.